Hello and welcome to the channel. And on today's video, we are going to be talking about PPF or paint protection film. Now, of course, if you're in a Tesla world, you probably heard about paint protection film, PPF, wraps, and all that good stuff. But for this video, I'm just going to be sharing, I guess, my experience with it. I did do a DIY installation of PPF on both my Model Y and my wife's Model Y. So we have full frontal PPF on both cars. And this topic is going to be, one is covering the benefits and the reason why, and also if you're going to be attempting to do it yourself, DIY, install the PPF yourself, what you need to look out for and things to be aware of. And these are going to be things that the professional videos don't tell you. When I was doing our PPF, I watched a few videos, and when I started doing it myself, it was like I didn't know this, or nobody covered this, or they went by too fast. So from my experience, I just want to share is, one, things that I've learned doing R2 Model Ys, and hopefully that helps you if you're going to be attempting to do it yourself. And before I jump into that, also, if you are not subscribed, don't forget to hit that button. We do cover a variety of topics on this channel, just covering everyday experiences and things that hopefully are useful to you. So if you're not subscribed, don't forget to do that. And of course, if you find this content interesting and you enjoy what we put out here, also don't forget to share and like, and also comment. So what exactly is PPF, or paint protection film? Now, as the name suggests, it's literally that's what it is. It's a protective layer for your paint. And so with Teslas, you probably heard about the paint being thin. I've got a few very light surface nicks on my car from road debris, and when I look at it, it's like, wow, that it's thin, right? There's no two ways around it. But with that kind of a paint, what do you do? What options do you have, right? Can you just drive your car as it is, or do you need to do something to your car? One thing I would say before we jump into this, here is, one, you don't have to have PPF on your car. It's personal preference, personal choice. If you want it, go for it. If you don't care for it, hey, do you, right? So just want to put it out there, right? So PPF, the job is to protect your car paint, right? Now, does not mean it's gonna protect your car if you get into a good fender bender, or somebody intentionally tries to key your car. It might reduce the impact to your paint if you get into a fender bender or somebody tries to key your car, but does not mean it's going to necessarily protect the car entirely. So just want to put that out there too. Even though it's a protective layer, it's not like a shield for your car. With PPF also, you do have different types. You've got like the clear type, which is the one that's probably the most common, where it's just a clear film that people put on their cars, and so the original color of the car is still preserved, but there's that layer of protection on it. You've got like the matte film, which is technically a wrap, which is basically it could be clear, so you still have your original color, but then you take away that glossy look and it's like a dull matte look, which sometimes can look pretty cool. And then you've got the wrap. The wrap itself is usually done when you're actually trying to change the color of your car. So you've probably seen Teslas or other cars actually that are not in your standard color paint. Those are your wraps, and those usually go full car. With the matte and the wraps, you're typically doing those for the whole car. With the clear, you can choose to do sections. So for our Model Ys, for example, when we ordered, with that front bumper being just that flat surface, I knew it was gonna be a magnet for road debris, rocks, and in Florida here we get what's called love bugs. Usually, I forgot when, but for a long time in the year we get love bugs that all over the road, and you hit them and they just stick to your car, and it's a mess to wash off. It's a pain, it's a hassle. And so I knew we were going to do the front bumper at a minimum, so I already ordered the front bumper PPF before the cars even got here. And so when the cars got here, I put the front bumper PPFs on them. So I don't have video for that, but over time I did notice little tiny nicks in my headlights and on the hood of my car, and that was when we decided, okay, you know what, I just do full frontal. So we've got the front bumper, we've got the hood, we've got the two fenders, the headlights, the mirrors, and the fog lights. We don't have the A pillars, we don't have any other parts done. Maybe we will at some point, I don't know. But for now, the major impact area, you know, was the front end. So we've done the front, and for this video I'm going to be showing to some of the clips from, well, I'm going to be showing the full process that I did for my installation, just to help you again if you're going through yours, help you see what I did for mine, and hopefully it helps you a little bit here. It's going to be sped up a little bit so it doesn't take forever, but hopefully you can able to like slow it down or pause to kind of see how my experience went. So back to the types. So you've got your clear, your matte, and your wraps, and so all those all offer a protection for the paint. Whatever you decide to do, you're still protecting your paint. So that's that. Now, as I said, if you're going to be doing PPF yourself, I will give you some tips in here, but I'll also give you word of advice. If you're not sure, just take it to a professional, let them do it for you. It takes time, it takes labor too, and I'll get into more details of that in a little bit here, but again, just throwing that out there. If you're not sure, you don't have to do it yourself. Just, you know, take it to a shop and let them do it. But before we get into that installation piece, what are some other benefits of PPF? I've already talked about protecting the paint, right? I've talked about you being able to, you know, keep your original color if you do a wrap or a matte film, and then when you're done with the film or whatever, you can take that off and you get your original color back. Another benefit here is when it comes to car washes. The concern with car washes is with the paint brushes. Especially if you go to the ones with the brushes, they do leave swirls in your paint, and not just Tesla, it's any car. Those painting brushes will leave paint swirls in your paint. PPF can help you with that, right? So if you got the PPF in your car, those paint brushes are not scratching your paint. And so if you put PPF in your car, that gives you the option of going to those car washes and not worried about what's going to happen to it. So that's one other benefit. Another benefit, which I've not seen this myself, but it's something that I think it's logical for folks that live in the snowy areas where they use salt for the roads. I've seen cars where over time the paint will fade because the clear coat gets, you know, eaten up by all the road salt, and then the paint itself starts fading away. But I feel like one other protection benefit PPF can give you is protecting you from that impact of the road salt. So instead of the road salt eating away your clear coat and then making your paint start deteriorating sooner, the PPF takes that impact from the road salt and it doesn't get to your paint. So there may be more benefits, but just for this video, you know, just trying to keep it short, those are some of the benefits that I have for you there. I want to also touch on one thing. I've seen discussions where people tend to confuse PPF and ceramic coating. Ceramic coat and PPF are not the same. PPF is a physical film that you put on your car, and it's an actual layer that you put on your car. Ceramic coat is a liquid that you put on your car that when it dries, it hardens and it creates, you know, some kind of a hardened layer that for the most part makes your car hydrophobic or water repellent. So it makes it easier when you're washing your cars because the dirt and stuff don't stick to it as it will without a ceramic coat. When it rains, the water just beads off. So ceramic coating is really more for just helping your car be more hydrophobic, you know, easier to wash, helps you in the rain, you know, you don't have water sticking to the glass, everything. That's that. It will not protect your car from scratches, road debris, or anything. Now, PPF on the other end does not mean your car is going to be easier to wash or will be more repellent to dirt or anything. No, that just protects the paint. If you're going to be doing both, you want to PPF your car first, then apply ceramic coating on the PPF. You don't want a ceramic coat first and then put PPF on it. The ceramic coat is probably going to make your car not want to let the film stick, and you either have to find a way to get the ceramic coat off or let it wear out over time, which could be some time depending on the kind you use. And so if you're going to be doing both, it's PPF first, then ceramic coat. They are not the same, they're different. With the DIY, I'm going to give you some tips here. So some things to keep in mind if you're going to be doing this yourself. Again, this is coming from my experience, right? So I have a few tips that I'm going to be sharing with you here to hopefully help you make your process a little bit easier. before I start the tip, I'll give you a pre-tip, which should be tip number 1, but I feel like it's such a no-brainer that it shouldn't even be on the list. But just in case you don't know, the first thing that you should do is wash your car. You don't ever put PPF on a dirty car. Also, if you wash your car, don't wash your car and then go take a drive and then come back and then try to put PPF. You want to go from car wash to PPF. So that's your pre-tip for you there. Wash the car, and once your car is washed and you've dried it, get the film going. And when you're washing the car too, it's not just a light wash. You want to be detailed, right? So pre-tip for you is wash your car. So then going into the actual tips, tip number 1 is know what you're doing, right? PPF is not just, oh, I've got the film, I've got a kit, I'm gonna just put in a car and boom. No, it's more than that. You need to know what you're doing. If you don't know what a slip solution is, what a tag solution is, how to use a squeegee, then this may not be for you, right? So your slip solution has a soapy, slippery solution, hence the word slip. Your tag solution is your alcohol water mix solution that makes the film tacky and cling to the car, hence the tag solution. You've got your squeegee that you use to squeeze out the water and any air bubbles into the film. But again, if you don't know what the ratio of all those things are, and there's a whole different, formulas for how to get those things mixed, but if you don't even know what those things are to begin with, then this may not be for you. Take it to a shop, let them do the job for you, and save yourself the trouble, right? So 1 is know what you're doing. Speaking of that, knowing what you're doing too, the type of kit you get also is important. I will hope nobody's trying to buy a flat film and trying to cut it themselves. Definitely not. So you probably want to get a pre-cut kit, which is most likely what you will have. For our cars, we use the kit from Drive Protected. And this is not a sponsored video. I'm just telling you where I got mine from. It's from a company called Drive Protected, and they sell the kits. You can choose to buy whatever you want to buy. Fender, bumper, hood, full frontal, side, and they have different configurations, right? So Drive Protected is who I use, and I will share a tip in here too if you're going to get your film from them, especially if you're getting the full frontal, because what happens with that is you get a few films that come on one large sheet, and it's a bit of a pain working with that. So in one of my tips here, I'll tell you what to do in that situation. But again, first tip is know what you're doing. Make sure you know all the key parts and things you need to do when applying PPF. Tip number 2 is watch a few videos before you start, right? Again, it's not just a case of I've got the films, I'm going to lay it on the car and I'm going to just squeeze. No, there are certain tips and tricks you need to do in certain areas. For example, with the mirrors, the film you get is not the full size of the mirror. The mirror is curved, it's got a curved surface, and you get a flat film. So how do you put that on? You have to use hot water, right? That's the one I used that I saw in the video, and it worked, I'll say almost perfectly. Almost, because I'm not a professional, so I didn't quite get it 100% perfect. But watch a few videos, right? And I'll say this too, is watch videos from the actual professionals, right? And see what they do. Watch videos like this from non-professionals. What I will tell you though is when I was doing ours, I did watch videos from the professionals, and where I had problem was because the professionals, everything they're doing is pretty fast, right? So the professionals, when they do it, it's a lot easier for them. They've been doing this for years. They know the tricks and they know the shortcuts. You are not a professional, so it's not going to be as easy for you. In some cases, you might need 2 people. And so let me talk about, if you're getting your kit from Drive Protected, I did mention that if you get a full frontal kit, you get a few things that comes on one large sheet. So I had the hood, I had the left fender, the right fender, and I think a couple other small pieces in there. The problem was, how do you take off the film for the hood with everything else still on it? So because you don't want this thing on the floor, right? So if you're doing that, or if you get any kit from anybody and you get multiple pieces on one large sheet, what I would suggest for you here, and I'm going to show you a video of me doing that here, is use a wall. Before that, I also suggest to you, if you have a garage, you want to do this in the garage. Of course, you also get protection from the sun and everything, but also helps just make sure you have a clean area. So in that case, if you have a garage, you want to use a wall. What I did was I unrolled the film, right? I started with one side and I used tape, use a lot of tape, or whatever you can use, push pins, anything that can hold it firmly to the wall. And I basically, as I unrolled, I taped the sheets to the wall, and then so I had the wall showing the full sheet with all the films. Then from there, you want to use a lot of slip solution, right? So I'm doing that as I just spraying, and then I peel halfway and then lay that back on, peel the other halfway, lay that back on. So everything was already pre-peeled, and then from there it was easy for me to just take it off and put on the car. Of course, the car's already been pre-wet with the slip solution and everything too. So just another side tip there for you. But yeah, use the wall. And so, but again, watch a few videos, see how people did theirs, look at what they did, any tricks you can learn from it, and then try to apply it, right? So just to help you be prepared. So that's tip number 2 for you. Tip number 3 is, as you start doing this, you might make mistakes. You probably will make mistakes, but don't be afraid to start again. If you put the film down and make a mistake in one corner, don't be afraid to peel it off, right? As a matter of fact, you want to peel it off. Even if you have it already tagged, right? As long as you've not left it for too long, and even if you have, you can probably get ways around to getting back up again. But if you make a mistake, don't be afraid to peel up the film and reapply. Just get your slip solution and you get it onto it again, and make sure you can work the film and just keep trying to get into the perfect spot and then tack it down again. So if you make a mistake, pull up the film. If you notice an error, get your slip solution. Your slip solution is your friend, so use it a lot. Don't be afraid to use it, right? That will help you make sure you're not making too many mistakes. And so, but if you do make one, just spill it, apply the solution, and get yourself fixed. Now, to avoid encountering too much mistakes, my next tip is to help you with the previous tip. And I kind of mentioned a little bit, and that's your slip solution. As I said, it's your friend. Mix a lot of it, right? You can't have too much slip solution. If you don't use it, dump it. But it's better to have more than to not have enough. Number 4 tip is use the slip solution and be generous with it, right? You want to spray the car, get it wet. Don't spray the whole car if you're not doing the section yet. So if you're not doing the fender, don't spray the fender and just let it dry on it, because that just leaves streaks and everything. If you're doing the hood, get your hood all prepped with the slip solution first. Get your film also prepped with the slip solution. Then you can put it on the car. As you're laying it on the car and you're working the thing in, keep spraying. You don't want that thing to dry up, right? So use your slip solution generously. Also, even when you have the film on the car, don't just put your squeegee and start squeegeeing on dry film. You need that surface to be smooth and slick. So put your film on the car, spray some more slip solution on it, and then you can start squeegeeing away. So again, your slip solution is going to use more of. Your tag solution you're going to use less of, because that's going to be for when you're actually just trying to bond the film to the car. So don't be afraid to wet the car. That's tip number 4. Use the slip solution generously. That will help reduce the mistake, because when it's wet and slippery, you can adjust the film, get in the position, and have less mistakes. So number 4. Tip number 5 is to acknowledge that your installation may not be perfect. Again, you're doing this yourself, DIY, and there's nothing wrong with taking things to the shop. Don't get me wrong. I do a lot of things DIY because I enjoy it. But again, if it doesn't mean you have to do it. If you don't enjoy it, if you're not sure, you don't have to spend the time doing it and make a mistake. But if you're going to do it, if you're going to attempt it, tip number 5 is accept that your work may not be perfect. That is, you might make a mistake. You might not get sections that's going to be full flat and it's not going to be clean. On both of our Model Ys that I did DIY film solutions on, installations on, I don't have perfect jobs. The hood is on the surface, it's perfect. behind, under the hood at the edges, I do have bumps there, but it's under, so don't care. On the fenders, for both of our wives, is where I've had more problems actually. On my wife's Fender, I have some air bubbles that are trapped in there, and unfortunately I can't get them out, and I don't feel like cutting the film, so I've just left them like that, and it's what it is. On my car, around the repeater cameras, I have gaps and air pockets in there where at the edges they don't stick to the car, and it's not perfect, but again, does not bother me. The key thing for me is the car is being protected from this road debris. So if you cannot accept your work not being perfect and you want it to be perfect, and you can hold somebody responsible if it's not perfect, then take it to the shop, right? Just want to put that out there, is just acknowledge that work might not be perfect, and if you're good with that, then go for it. Tip number 6, which in a way goes in line with tip number 5. Number 6 here is be prepared for the possibility that you might lose the entire kit, or you might lose part of the kit. What does that mean? If you're doing work and something goes wrong, your film sticks together and it comes up into a ball of mess and you can't take it off, it's done. It's the film pretty sticks right when they touch each other on the sticky side. That's why you need to use a lot of slip solution so that when they touch, they're not sticking. You can take them apart. But if you make a mistake and they touch without the slip solution enough to not make them stick, and they cling and you don't get them separated in time, it can become a ball of mess that you can never unravel. And at that point, like I said, that film is done. Another thing is the hood. It may not look huge, but when you peel off that film off the sheet, it's huge, right? I've got a pretty wide arm span and literally had to hold the film up with both hands like this to put it on the hood. So again, it's be prepared of the possibility that you might lose part or your entire kit if things go wrong. And this is just saying, if you decide to, things to note. And again, if you're not sure or it's too much, uncertainty, take it to the shop. The last tip here, and I believe that's tip number 7, and that is be patient. It takes time. When I did the full frontal, which was just in my case the 2 fenders, the hood, mirrors, and the lights, it took about 6 hours, right? But be patient. If you want a good job, you have to be patient. It takes time. It takes time to set the film, make sure everything is lined up. So be patient. And then the second part of my tip 7 here is, and I think I mentioned that before too, don't expect perfection, right? Do your best, but if it's not perfect, hey, that's your best. Again, as long as you're willing to live with whatever you do, if you get bumps in it, if that doesn't bother you, then good, right? What matters here is you've got a protection. So do your best, be patient, and if it's not perfect, if you're good with it, that's great. And I'll say this, I keep saying if it's not perfect or whatever, does not mean you can't do a good job. I'm just saying you might have those cases where some sides just don't stick. They just won't stay. So, but again, if you're patient, you do your best, I think you can get a very good outcome doing this yourself. Now, that's about it for what I wanted to share in terms of my experience. Again, I'm going to leave the video for my installation, one of my stations here playing. It's going to be sped up here, and you see, again, I'll start from some start where I'm putting the film on the wall, and then you see as I go through the hood, fenders and everything. Unfortunately, I don't have a proper installation guide telling you do this, do that, besides what I've already done. And so I'm going to start playing that here, and then you can watch the rest of the video sped up and just kind of see what I did with my installation, and just hopefully helps you to know what you need to do in your situation. And again, if you're not subscribed and you've enjoyed this content or you enjoy other contents, please don't forget to do that. I appreciate your support. I really sincerely do. Also, this has been good for you and you've enjoyed this, please also like the video, share with others, and if you have feedback, you have comments, you have more tips, suggestions for others watching this, please put them in the comments. Again, as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you, and enjoy the rest of the video.
hypnotized. What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through. Times don't fly too high. Be sure to keep the ground in sight. Fly forever if you keep it tight. Love the world but keep the sky on your mind. so high I'm hypnotized. What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through. Times don't fly too high. Be sure to keep the ground in sight. Fly forever if you keep it tight. Love the world, but keep the sky on your mind.